federal government taking over the hands of money and no ability to print money. So we really are limited in what we can do to incentivize that is going to cost the state any money from its general fund. And as a result of the passage of Proposition 26, very unfortunately, yes, we would hear a big move for 26, funded by Chevron, among other oil companies, because they don't want to have the responsibility of mitigating the damage that their industries are creating. And it was a very cynical campaign that opponents ran for Proposition 26. You may have heard the word taxpayer protection, but it was exactly the opposite. Rather than protecting taxpayers, these large international corporations, which by the very nature of the way they make their huge profits, cause damage to our earth, to our drinking water, to our air, and rather than have to pay mitigation fees, the taxpayers, or their general fund, the taxpayers' general fund will have to pick up the tab, or what is more likely to happen in this very tough economic time is there will be no mitigation whatsoever because we can't afford it. And if we did, it would come out of education funding, or out of funding for health care, or from social services. So you can see exactly why Chevron would be so interested in investing $3 billion for the passage of Prop 26, which will raise the threshold for the legislature to a two-thirds majority. The last thing we need is another two-thirds majority threshold to put in place a fee. And at the local level, for example, there was discussion for the supervisors in the form of a local ordinance that would have increased the cost of an alcoholic beverage drink by about 5 cents. That's a mitigation fee to cover the tens of billions of dollars that county taxpayers incur as a result of alcohol use. That would no longer, with the passage of Prop 26, be implemented by a vote of the Board of Supervisors. It will now have to go to the voters at the two-thirds threshold, which is there as well, a very high threshold. So I want to use time I have before we do the other two presentations and get to our questions. Let's talk about two experiences I've had as a legislator, which have been very exciting. It's only a possibility of what government can do to help green our economy. When I was on the county board almost 10 years ago, in the midst of California's energy crisis, I think we all remember quite well, Enron and others gained in the state of California so massively. I had the really wonderful opportunity to have lunch with the parents of a friend of mine who are named Stan and Iris O'Shipton. They're not household names, but they have been toiling in the field of photovoltaic technology for the past 3 decades and hold many of the early patents for PV technology. And they were already in their mid-80s when I had my lunch with them, but brilliant scientists and so excited and energized about what could be done if only government were to invest where they should be rather than subsidizing to the tune of tens of billions of dollars of nuclear energy, put it into EV technology, put it into other renewable and clean and sustainable technology. You know, it was Jimmy Carter who in the 1970s as president pointed out that the United States at that time was 40% dependent upon foreign oil for our energy needs, 40% in 1977. He said if we were to invest in renewable technologies, we could reduce that to 20% by the turn of the 21st century. Of course, we didn't only not follow Jimmy Carter, we didn't re-elect him, and Ronald Reagan ripped the solar panels off the roof of the White House. And we went exactly the opposite direction. And by the year 2000, we were no longer 40%, we were now 60%. So I asked my lunch with the Oceans and was wondering what could a local legislator do that would have any kind of real impact on the energy crisis the state was then facing. And I literally scratching my head thinking, what if you were to put solar panels on every square inch of city-owned property? Our schools, our jails, our airport, we have acres of rooftop reservoirs. What if we were to, in a hospital, cover all of those rooftops with solar panels on a public building? And of course, the first thing that came to mind was, how would we pay for it? How much CO2 emissions would we be able to reduce? How would we be able to implement such a program, and how much energy could we produce? Well, I had all the questions, but I had no answers because I'm not with the expertise to be able to do so. But because of my CDOT Board of Supervisors, I was able to convene a meeting and many meetings of those who had the answers to those questions. So we brought in the folks from the Mayor's Office of Public Finance, we brought in the folks from the Public Utilities Division, we brought in folks from the Department of the Environment, and what we were able to come up with was the first of its kind anywhere in the nation, a $100 billion solar revenue bond. And that was on San Francisco's ballot back in 2001. It was Prop B, and it passed with 73% of the vote. And what it would do is allow for the use of revenue bonds to fund these solar energy projects on city-owned property rooftops. Now, revenue bonds, unlike general obligation bonds, which we so often see in our ballot, are not paid back by property taxes, increasing property taxes. Revenue bonds are paid back by a revenue stream that is created, in this case, by the energy that we see produced by the very solar programs and projects that the bonds would create and fund. We create these little loops. And so that was a very exciting experience. That you can come up with an idea, bring stakeholders together and those who have the wherewithal, knowledge, expertise, and to be able to set with political will, of course, to accomplish just that. Now, we have not actually sold any of those revenue bonds yet, but it really did set the city in motion. And right now, Ross might be able to give us a greater update on this than I have, but Melanie as well. Bids have already gone out for the first rooftop reservoir. This is out of the sunset, and I believe it's going to be at least a megawatt, might be 2 megawatts of power. The entire project is implemented. And then we have to do some tweaking of current state law in Sacramento when I got to the state assembly. I'm sure you're well aware of the approximately 650 kilowatt solar project on the Moscone rooftop. You've seen photographs of it, beautiful, large rooftop, sea of solar panels. The reason they stopped at 650 kilowatts was not because there wasn't room for it, there certainly was. But state law at the time said that if that rooftop increased any more than 650 kilowatts, which is the amount of energy that Moscone Center uses, it would have gone to the grid, meaning to PG&E, and the city would have gotten no benefit from it. It would have been free energy for PG&E, so there was no sense in spending the additional cost for more solar panels, and the city would benefit from it. So we were able to offer a bill in the legislature, and we did get it signed into law, so that if the city or county or any other local agency throughout the state is to invest in a renewable energy program and create more energy than that site will use, that it goes to the grid, but when there is a new municipal building built, for example, we would build a school at some point, and that school would have energy needs, we would get it back with that time. Now, ratepayers would be protected from any transmission or distribution costs that might be incurred. And in fact, the city would also pay for any kind of infrastructural improvements to make all of this happen. But otherwise, it's sort of just shifting the energy to the grid and getting it back when we have the municipal load. So yes, little things that we were able to do in changing state statutes to help continue to breathe the local economy. And then Pet project of mine, which I intend to continue to pursue. We got this bill to Governor Schwarzenegger's desk, unfortunately, he vetoed it. We have about a $300 million hemp economy here in California alone. $200 million to $300 million. So all of these hemp products that you see in the stores are all legal, legally produced. We can buy products made of hemp, such as food, clothing, shelter, fuel, paper. All of these are legally produced. The only time that hemp is illegal is when it's growing in the ground. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Dr. Butler is one of the largest manufacturers of hemp products, if you're familiar with the name. And they have told me that they would build a factory, probably somewhere near Bakersfield, if they could get their hands on enough of a dependable hemp supply. They get most of their hemp from Canada. But the amount of hemp that they can get is dependent on how much rainfall Canada may get that season. And of course, then there's the carbon footprint of transporting it from Canada to here. So why would we want our farmers to be able to have a good cash crop? Now, hemp is a biological cousin. This is a biological cousin to marijuana. They're both cannabis sativa L plants. But unlike marijuana, it has just traces of THC. So a good analogy is it has about as much THC as the poppy seeds on your bagel have opium. You're not going to get high in any way. And in fact, we have a legal case, which was the legal foundation for our bill to allow California farmers to be able to grow industrial hemp. And in that court ruling, it was determined that Congress had exempted industrial hemp from the Controlled Substances Act of 1970 for the simple fact that industrial hemp is not a drug. So we don't believe it is Schedule 1 as in marijuana, which makes no sense whatsoever. That's another conversation. But that hemp was exempted from the Controlled Substances Act, and so we should be able to grow it legally here. We wanted to put that in the statute. And it's a terrific plant. It grows without herbicides, without pesticides, without fungicides. It grows with less water than needed to grow corn, so expected droughts we're going to see here in California as the climate continues to change. We can grow it more readily than other plants and less expensively. It's great for crop rotation because it feeds nutrients in the soil. So if you're growing rice or cotton, for example, you rotate it with industrial hemp, you're going to get a greater yield into your next field of whatever else you may be growing. So this would be great for California farmers. We've done all of the projections on it, we've done the physical analysis of it. It would increase farmers' profits at a time when farms, particularly family farms, are really clinging on their own life in this bad economy now, especially in the Central Valley, and especially in the water.